One day, my husband came home from work and without any words, he took out paper from his bag and said to me, "I want a divorce right away. I don't enjoy being with you and knew that we may not have children, but this is unacceptable. I'm now filing for divorce since things are getting too hard to keep up." He thinks that if he goes to this far, then I'll play into his mind games and start being obedient again. Well, I'm not going to do that. This is a good place for me right now. The divorce paper is a term for the paperwork needed during the separation of a marriage. I received some paperwork from my husband and followed his instructions to file it. That afternoon, I was looking at an excerpt of it and realized something. My name is in there. This meant that he had been cheating on me all along. Last year, I got married and needless to say, it's been a truly rewarding experience. Now, I am the full-time wife of the man of my dreams. He is a hard-working man who loves our son very much and always helps me out with anything household-related. I wasn't going to give up on finding a way out, so I kept working hard. I just wanted my husband to be happy and healthy and loved me back. I also wanted to experience being a full-time housewife for once, so I didn't have a problem with the idea of being a stay-at-home wife. However, once we started our married life, problems arise in other areas. First, my husband was selfish. He does not cook at all, but he often makes a demand about the taste of the food. Is this vegetable cooked? It's low. What? It's cooked well, it tastes better when it's crispy like this. I don't like it like this. I like it. Cook more additionally. Well, it's spicy. I'm sweating. How much spicy stuff did you put? I only put in about half spicy sauce. I can't eat anything. Hey. My husband complains and put ADE and the food to cover up the taste of the original food. There are many episodes like this related to cooking alone, but there is something else that bothers me about my husband. He spent too much money on his hobbies and interest. My husband loves fashion and buy expensive brands. I'm not that interested in fashion, so I'm fine with clothes that I list them. I'm $100, but my husband's standard is bill hundreds of dollars. Whether it is a t-shirt or a hat, he always buys something in a range of several hundreds. When I ask him to spend a little less, he refused to listen to me saying, "It's my money, so it's fine." So I have to save as much as I can and it's really hard. And when I try to cut back on food cost and serve few dishes, he immediately noticed and stopped complaining about it. He doesn't do any of task work and he's not capable with either, but he's just so picky in that way. My mother-in-law was also a nonsense, but not as much as my husband. My husband took me to his mother-in-law's house twice a month without fail. I told him I was particularly eager about it, but he would argue that they would say some if his wife didn't come, so he would face me to go with him. And then my mother-in-law, as she had been waiting for me, that not about me. "Mary, what is this? It doesn't taste like anything." "What?" "But if you salt to it, it is too salty." "Are you trying to say, I can't properly taste?" No. That's not what I was saying. Can glue up with my taste. You should learn to season it the way he likes it. Why did he marry this woman at all? I used to get a stomachache when I went to my in-laws' house because of the bad things they would say about me every time my husband wouldn't listen to me and he would take me to my in-laws' house. There I was sick or not, and my mother-in-law would ask me every chance he got how bad the grandchildren. I can understand why my mother-in-law will be impatient since my husband and I are both in our 30s. But we had just gotten married. I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I barely touch activities with my husband since we got married. He comes home late, and even if he comes home early, he says he's too tired to do anything with me. That's why we've hardly been able to procreate. When I honestly told him that I don't want my mother-in-law to bother me, he says, "She's just messing with you so you don't have to take her seriously." It was as if he didn't care about how I felt I was losing my impatience. My mother-in-law was constantly troubling me, and my husband was not at all receptive to my feelings. So one day I decided to have a talk with my husband. "Hey, can I ask you to pay a little more attention to me? What I talked to him about your mother-in-law and you don't listen to me at all. Besides, we are not active at night or that again, you know, you and Mom, that's your problem, right? You got to make it work on your own. And I think you're too aggressive about activity at night." Huh. I never knew women in their 30s as so sexually active. You suck. Well, did you say something? You realize that you're safe at the thing, huh? You're the one who's being fed by me, and why you be so cookie? All you have to do is listen to me and do what I tell you to do. Don't bother me with your petty problems. I can't blame my ears, which is really the words that the husband remarried me before we were married. He used to be much more kind and more killing towards me. He apparently thinks that I will do whatever he said. Maybe it's because when we got married, he wanted me to be a stay-at-home wife, and I accepted him without complaint. He must have thought that I'm submissive. After I realized this, my feelings for my husband instantly cut off until now. Even if he greeted me a little recently, I have forgiven him because I love my husband, but now that I realize that he thinks of me, his housekeeper, it was difficult for me to maintain my feelings of love towards him. From that day on, I stopped listening to him. I no longer did what he told me to. I cook what I wanted to cook, and now I wanted to cook it. I never went to my in-laws' house because he didn't feel like it unexpected. He lost his temper every time. "Hey, what don't you do as you're told? You stay at home, wife. So do it. Hey, listen to me." I responded only when my husband speaks to me in a normal way. But when he was being unreasonable, I decided to ignore him. My husband didn't expect me to behave that way. He gradually began to be careful with how he was with me. And then he didn't say anything to me about a month. He finally raised his limit. One day my husband came home from work and we said any words. He took out a piece of paper from his back and said to me, "I want a divorce right away. I don't enjoy being with you, and we cannot even have children." The paper seems to be divorce paper. He was waving it in front of me. The husband part of us already heard out. My husband was telling me he wanted a divorce, but for some reason he had a grin on his face. I'm sure he's just trying to slap me. He seems to think that if he goes this way, I became an obedient wife again, but I'm not going to play the game and this is good for me. What? Fine. Gimme the divorce paper as not the divorce paper from my husband, got a pen and began to figure it out. What? He didn't expect me to stop filling it out and was clearly upset. I ignored the reaction inherently. Get out the divorce paper. Oh, are you serious? Well, I was thinking of getting your divorce still. You kidding? Right. Why? After all the things you did to me, how could I possibly want to stay married to you? No. Well, what that I'm your housekeeper who does whatever you say. Oh, no. Well, it looks like I would spot him. You're such an asshole. I don't know why I married a guy like you. Enough housewives. That's a fact. You can say what you want. I recorded every horrible thing you said to me. I follow suit against you for MO husband. Oh no. My husband turned pale and fell into the hip. Oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. What I'm going to do when without you. My husband starts to cry, and I was shocked. The moment I tried to be tough with him, he turns into a frightened puppy. How pain he is. I packed up my belongings and left the house, my husband, who was crying, thinking to me. I immediately figured a divorce paper and went back to my parents' house. By the way, I have been secondly looking for a job for about a month before this divorce happened, and just when I found a company that would fire, 9 minutes, me as a full-time employee, my husband brought me the divorce paper. Their time was perfect. I found a job, so I stayed at my parents' house for a few days and then moved out, and I went through division of property and the compensation for the moral husband for my ex-husband with my lawyer. My ex-husband kept telling my lawyer that he wanted to see me, so I asked him to issue that restraining order just in case. It seems that I was right in my decision, and my ex-husband, who thought I was at my parents' house, came to my parents' house one day and asked me where I was. As a result, my mother reported the incident and my ex-husband was arrested. He was released, but he was freed from his job because of it. He now lives at my parents' in Lou's house and looks up himself there. It sounds like it was really difficult for your ex to learn about the break-up from you or from us. He must have thought that he had lost everything when you left without warning, and we've noticed that he spends time and money thinking how he might get back on his feet. He couldn't pay his rent and living expenses and found himself in panic. He realized that he was becoming too attached to his eye, who knew better than to worry about such things. I think forgiving someone for their past mistakes is one of the most generous things a person could do. I know for sure that my husband was thankful and even relieved once he finally understood what had happened. I hope he will work on this incident and blow his bad character. Hi. On the other hand, I'm working hard at my new job. I used to have difficulties balancing work and a private life, but I think it was just that my priorities were off when I overlooked how much time I spend at work. Things seem to against me, so now instead of focusing on what's harder, I do the opposite, find independent men who are willing to take charge in starting a family. Watch all of the videos from this channel and leave a like to encourage me to keep making these. It's also a good idea to subscribe so that you're always up to date on when I upload.